Welcome to the party. I'm Sam Ekstrom of Locked On Sports Minnesota, and my podcasting resolution for this year is to quote fewer Creed lyrics in my cold opens.
I'm Luke Braun, Locked On Vikings, and I hate parlays.
Luke Inman at Luke_Spinman, feeling extra old today because it's my puppy's 6th birthday. It's kind of sad.
Oh, now I feel like I can't be cynical. This is Arif Hassan with the Wide Left Substack, and Sam owes me lunch money.
Locked On Sports Minnesota podcast. It's endless Minnesota Vikings talk with the diverse voices of your local experts. It's time for the Minnesota Football Party.
Welcome in, everybody, on a Thursday. It's the Minnesota Football Party. You met Luke, you met the other Luke, you met Arif, and I'm Sam Ekstrom. We're talking Vikings with you every Monday, every Thursday on the Locked On Sports Minnesota YouTube channel or the Locked On Vikings audio feed. Get it wherever you get your podcasts, along with SiriusXM, Amazon Fire, Roku, or even the 24/7 YouTube live stream. Today's show is brought to you by PrizePicks, the easiest and most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports. Go to prizepicks.com/LockedOnNFL and use code all lowercase LockedOnNFL for a first deposit match up to $100. And week 18 is upon us. There is a 40-1 parlay that the Vikings could make the playoffs. Are we rooting for that, or are we all in on draft position at this point? Could this be the finale for a couple legendary Vikings? We're playing Nick Mullens bingo today, grading Jordan Addison's season, and Luke Braun has one last chance to avoid eating hot wings on the show by putting together the most absurd parlay of his life. That comes up later on. Ron Johnson joins as well. But week 18, Luke Inman, you're the draft man. So let's ask you, what percentage of your heart is cheering for draft position? I think they can go as high as 9th. Or are you holding out hope, the 3% chance that 4 underdogs win and the Minnesota Vikings make the playoffs?
Yeah, I think once the Dobbs magic kind of wore off, I was always in the camp that, okay, they went to Mullens, and I, like a lot of people, was kind of pessimistic about the idea. It's like, all right, even if you make to the playoffs, you got to go on the road in Dallas or Philly, etc. You're starting Nick Mullens, backup quarterback. What's that spread even look like? Double digits, 11, 12, 13? I just never thought they had it in them to go on a Cinderella run, especially now with the defense in shambles the last 4 or 5 weeks. So you're not going through Detroit, Dallas, and San Fran on the road with a backup quarterback in that defense. You're just not. So, yes, I am team play some backups, get some tape on your young guys for next year, get a better draft pick, help your chances in the draft. But, I'll be honest, just to play devil's advocate here for a second, if you look at the order of the only teams they can leapfrog, I really don't see more than 1, maybe 2 of those teams losing this week, and I could be wrong. Hey, doesn't happen often, but I could be wrong. I'll tell you another thing, too. You think you look at this just order of the teams picking ahead of the Vikings. I was just looking at it this morning. Outside of the Cardinals with Kyler, and then you got the Chargers with Herbert, and then the Jets, I know they got Rodgers. They have to take an offensive tackle with that first pick. The other 8 or 9 teams, they could all justify taking a quarterback. And even if this is the best quarterback class we've seen since, 2017, call it, unless you're in the top 5, I think you're looking at a huge drop-off right now with guys from Caleb, Penix, Drake May, Jaden Daniels. And, don't be shocked if all those guys go top 5, top 6. A lot of time to talk about all this stuff. I get it. But Vikings could be in a situation, whether they're picking at 10 or 12, where all they got left is a Bo Nix, Quinn Ewers, J.J. McCarthy. So, yeah.
Ron would be happy.
Yeah, Ron would be very happy about J.J. But, trading up from 10 as opposed to 12, obviously maybe costs a little bit less. But I think it's a tough situation regardless what happens this week.
Yeah, you're probably going to need to be in a trade-up position regardless, so it might be negligible whether you're 10 or you're 12. But, I think that the scenario would just be so hilarious if they got in at 8 and 9 that, okay, if the Panthers are beating the Bucks and the Vikings are in it late, it might be worth it just to win the game and then root for the Bears to do it again to the Packers at Lambeau. And, again, have the bottom feeder in the NFC North kind of rise up and knock off Green Bay. That would be so luscious.
On a late season surge, knock off Green Bay, letting the Seahawks into the playoffs.
What were they, 1-5, by the way? I mean, the Bears the last 6-7 weeks. Unbelievable.
I like it when Sam, Luke, and I agree. I think it would be very funny if the Vikings made the playoffs through this series of events that has like a less than 1%. Well, I guess it's more than 1% if the Vegas odds are 40-1. But like I think it's like 3% on NYT Upshot or whatever. Anyway, extremely funny series of events. I'm all for it. And it gives you something to like watch for in week 18. Like that seems like such a lame reason to come up with like this is what I'd prefer. But like hoping that the Vikings lose is just like a one game, whatever. It's not that exciting to hope for a team to lose, especially the team that you follow. And then, none of the other games matter in that context, except, what they might pertain to in terms of draft position. So the teams ahead of you in the draft, maybe they lose, but you're not really hoping for like this weird domino effect. So I kind of like the idea of the Vikings playing to win and all these other games happening that have all of these low odds and you cheering for like the most absurd outcomes. I love it. That's what I want. On top of that, like I also just like it when teams play to win. I just prefer for some reason to watch that. I don't know. Maybe I'm weird. But like,
it's just you, dude. Yeah, you're weird.
Yeah, it's just weird. Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm a weirdo like that. I know that it's like rational, right, to hope for a team to lose and get a better draft slot. And I know that typically speaking, picking 9th is much better than picking like 20th if they make the playoffs, right? Like I know all of that, right? I don't care. I do not care if it is more rational for a team to advance its draft position. Like I'm a huge analytics guy, but that's just not where I live, right? Like I just want teams to try and win. I like watching players compete. I like watching their stuff matter. And I know that even if they try to win and it doesn't matter in terms of being able to make the playoffs, it matters to them in like a huge way. And I think that's real and human and cool. And I think that's why we watch sports.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, to be honest,
sports are a competition, and you show up like to compete. I know that makes me sound like a huge boomer, but like, yeah, it's not to mention like
to win the game.
You play to win the game.
Luke and I discussing like Roth IRAs.
Yeah, well, wasn't Herm Edwards like having this exact discussion about like draft position? He was like, "You play to win the game." What?
I don't think it was about draft position.
Yeah, what was that about now? That was so long ago now.
It was adjacent then. It was something like that. But like the individuals have things at stake as well. Either, people in contract years that maybe are trying to prove something. Kevin O'Connell is going to need all the good faith he can as a head coach, right? Like you need every win you can get because you never know. If he ends up, what if 2024 starts out bad and he ends up on the hot seat, and the fact that you quit on the season a game early, like really pissed a bunch of players off or something like there's all kinds of individual stakes that make it. So even if we called Vikings HQ and said, "Hey, please lose. We want better draft position." We as the fans, they're not going to do it. So like it's moot. And especially not if they have an outside shot at the playoffs. Could you imagine if they said, we're going to go for playoff. We're going to go for draft position. We'll start Jaren Hall. We know he's not going to win, but we want to get him some practice. We'll sit Justin Jefferson. We'll sit Danielle Hunter. We'll keep all our superstars healthy. And then they did get all the other results they would have needed to make the playoff. Could you imagine?
Oh,
if they get all the other results? That might be the only funnier outcome is if they get like the Bucks win that they need and the Seahawks and the Packers lose, but then the Vikings lose too. That might be the only funnier outcome.
I think the Vikings could get boat raced in this game if they try. If the Lions try, it could get ugly. That's the hardest part of this parlay.
And they're definitely trying.
I mean,
they're starting all their starters, right?
Mm-hmm.
They're all
the Vikings would almost assuredly be playing Jaren Hall if they were even thinking about. There's no reason to play Nick Mullens, right?
By the way, I'm looking at FanDuel earlier in the week. It was like 41-1 odds. I don't know what's changed exactly, but it's gone down. It's like 31-1 now. The 4-team parlay, and this is assuming the Falcons beat the Saints, which is probably likelier than the Panthers beating the Bucks. Falcons, Vikings, Bears, Cardinals. I don't know if the Cardinals have gotten more action because of their success against the Eagles, but 31-1 chance that it happens.
I'm sure
those
some
odds.
stuff has changed just because of like the news about which teams are resting who.
Right.
the
And
league.
Cardinals are playing who again?
The Seahawks.
Seahawks, right. Okay.
Yep. And yeah, there's no reason for the Cardinals to try, but also the fact that it's Kyler and he just beat the Eagles and Kyler's trying to avoid like having them take his replacement. That's enough motivation for me to like slightly believe in Arizona.
Yeah.
I mean, like in next year, Jonathan Gannon is going to be advocating for his own job to ownership, right? And having another win in the
Absolutely.
win percentage column is going to help. It's just how it works.
Right. Yep.
That's another reason that teams just typically don't tank, is because they have their records attached to their names. But yeah, I don't know necessarily like kind of what drove these changes in odds. I will say that like that more closely aligns with what Upshot said in terms of the percentage odds of the Vikings making the playoffs. But it really like the fact that there's like quarterback changes across the league just because they're resting starters for teams that have locked up their playoff slot. That I would not be shocked if that changed the odds somewhere somehow. So I don't know who it would have been that like in this series of events that like maybe rested a quarterback that changed things, but there you go.
If it is the end for the Vikings, is it the end of the Vikings' careers for Danielle Hunter and Harrison Smith? We'll get into that. We'll also hear from Ron Johnson coming up on the Minnesota Football Party. This episode is brought to you by BetterHelp. It's the new year. We're all making New Year's resolutions. We get obsessed with how to change ourselves instead of just expanding on what we're already doing right. You're trying to get all your home organized, all these different spaces organized. But now's a great chance to kind of organize your mental health as well. And therapy helps you find your strengths so you can ditch the extreme resolutions and make changes that really stick and have some sustainability. So if you're thinking of starting therapy, give BetterHelp a try. It's totally online, designed to be convenient, flexible, and suited to your schedule. Fill out the brief questionnaire, get matched up with a licensed therapist, switch therapists anytime for no additional charge. Celebrate the progress you've already made. Visit BetterHelp.com/lockedon today to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/lockedon. All right, rolling on. Minnesota Football Party. Again, thanks for watching here at Locked On Sports Minnesota, where we talk Vikings here every Monday and Thursday. Wolves talk on Wednesdays. Minnesota Basketball Party. Ron Johnson show on Tuesdays, and he'll be joining us shortly. But let's get into it as we wait for Ron. Harrison Smith, still under contract next 2 years, but it seems like a year-to-year proposition at this point. Would he retire? Would he and the Vikings come to another restructure next year? Danielle Hunter, he is in a contract year. He's going to want $25 million per year. I want a percent chance, let's go to Luke Braun, that these guys are back with the Vikings next year.
A percent?
Yep.
Man, I don't freaking know.
Give it to
90.
It doesn't matter.
Hey,
zero.
Just be,
an A.
I know your
know.
resolution was to have less takes in 2024, but not today. Today you need
that's
takes.
right. So here's with Harrison Smith, I don't know. It kind of feels like
Doesn't have enough nicknames already.
With Danielle Hunter, it's harder to figure out because my God, they should just pay him whatever he wants. He's still really, really good at football, and the Vikings have just found a way to avoid really paying him a lot for his entire career. And now that's probably going to cost them the back part of his career. But they still have a chance to make that right, I guess. I don't know. It's very frustrating. It's like, to me, it goes into a category like with Justin Jefferson, where like, if you're not going to spend money on Danielle Hunter, what are you going to spend it on? Like, 2 DJ Wanhams is not going to make a Danielle Hunter better. like that's not going to be a more efficient use.
Put them on top of each other, then they wear a trench coat. That counts as one player on the field.
That counts as one guy. You'll never get
DJ
the flag.
Wanham on steroids, maybe. Just
it's like, well, we can get 3 players and they're all Josh Olivers. Like, no,
Andre Patterson said DJ Wanham reminded him of Danielle Hunter. I don't see what the issue is.
People are still
so did Deshaun Bauer, and so did every other guy.
I don't know. Kwesi has signed 1 long-term extension. It was TJ Hawkinson. I have to imagine more are coming this offseason. I think more have to come this offseason because they only have like 3 or 4 serious players under contract beyond 2024. So maybe Danielle Hunter is one of those. I don't know. Kind of feels like Harrison Smith is going to hang him up. If he doesn't hang him up, I don't think that they like cut him or anything. I don't think
the look of it. Yeah, go ahead, Luke.
I was just going to say, it's funny. You asked me the same question, Sam, at the beginning of the year. It always felt like Harry coming off 2022, just from an eye test evaluation, I thought physically, just for me, I thought, hey, he can still, he's not the peak Harry, but he could still play 2-3 more years and not just go be a guy out on the field, but still play close to the high level Harry that we kind of, know and love. So heading in, I think if I could only pick one, I probably would have said, Harry or Danielle. Harry, maybe 80%, Danielle, 20% would be back, this upcoming offseason. I know the entire defense fell apart here these last 5 weeks, so I'm not just picking on Harry himself, but between kind of this lackluster play, I guess, to finish the year and then the $19 million cap hit, I think this March, right? I'm almost opposite. I'm complete opposite. Now I think I'm with Luke. I think 80% chance Danielle comes back versus 20% Harrison Smith comes back. And either, he moves on or he hangs it up. I don't know, but Luke brought up a great point. It's like the drop off from Harry to the next guy. Well, you got 2 starters ready to roll. Plus, in the back of your mind, everybody's still thinking, can I find a way to get Lewis Seen still on the field? So that's 3 safeties. The drop off from Hunter to Wanham, who's a free agent. Now you're talking about Patrick Jones and Andre Carter, UDFA. It's just so big. You got to spend your money somewhere. I think Hunter makes the most sense. And he's also, only 29? So he would be 30 29. Next year. Harrison Smith, obviously, getting up there. So, yeah, I'm with Luke. Yeah, probably 80%, 85 on Danielle, maybe 15% on Harry.
And that's what
edge rusher room is so bad.
It's bad.
It's amazing. It's worse than the cornerback room was going into last offseason.
Which says something.
Right.
And they had 2 dudes under contract.
That's a really bold statement.
There's 3 guys under contract last year, and one of them was Cam Dantzler. Now they have 1 guy under contract.
It's crazy.
Patrick Jones and Andre Carter starters.
Which is less
okay.
Dude, one's Andre Carter.
I think it's an important piece of context to the conversation. If the Vikings re-signed Danielle Hunter, that gets them potentially $14.9 million of void cap space off their books. There's about $15 million in free cap space that they get for Danielle Hunter and nobody else. They have an enormous incentive to sign this dude, right? Like obviously whatever that they sign him for will have to include that $14.9 million guaranteed in there somewhere. That doesn't bother me at all. He would get way more than that anywhere anyway. So, that I think is an important piece of context of this conversation is that there's a void hit that is not being accounted for in the $37 million of cap space that they have right now. That huge. Will be added onto the Hunter hit, right? And so that's an important piece of information that'll help. So they've got a lot of incentive to sign it back. So I think that I'm not going to say it's like a done deal. Obviously, Hunter has been kind of pushed aside by the Vikings in his viewing and that souring of the relationship, at least with the front office. He seems to love the coaching staff. The souring relationship with the front office may have an impact here, but I do think that the odds are really high. With Harrison Smith, I do think that the lack of veteran presence in the locker room generally on defense, but especially in the secondary, will encourage them to find ways to keep him on the roster for a little bit. The fact it's basically just Byron Murphy, right? Like that's the only true many-year veteran that they have. Otherwise, they're going to be relying on like a Caleb Evans to provide. That's not happening. It's probably Josh Metellus, if we're being honest.
Pro Bowl,
but like that's a young room, and NFL teams have done that before. But given the veteran turnover the Vikings had last year on defense, I think they're going to try to hold on to these guys, even if somebody like Harrison Smith is a little bit slower. So I think that I wouldn't go as low as 15%. I think that they're going to do quite a bit to try and get Harrison Smith back in Minnesota for at least 1 more year before he retires. I would say at least 40%.
I have 45% on Harrison. I wouldn't be shocked if he stepped away. He mentioned before in April that he'd had retirement thoughts. He has already diminished his value by taking a lot less money, and he would probably have to do so again. I don't know if we know exactly how his contract looks next year, but over the cap says he has no guaranteed salary. So they basically be renegotiating from scratch, and he hasn't done a lot to suggest he deserves a raise from this year. I'm honestly stunned at your guys' optimism about Danielle. Like, we'll get Ron Johnson's take on this in a second. I think it's 20% that he's back. You think that after 3 years of being denied an extension that he's going to play ball with the Vikings when he's got the open market out in front of him? I think he's gone. I think
I've
it's
seen
over.
so many players on so many teams frustrated and denied by a front office that seemingly doesn't respect him, and then they sign an extension with that team.
Lamar.
Money talks, man.
Yeah.
Money
talks.
Yep.
Exactly.
And they're gonna spend
It's
their
really
money.
easy to be mad until you get a $30 million offer.
Danielle, in his last 4 healthy seasons, has been top 10 in pressures. I mean, that's going to speak so loudly on the open market. I think it's $25 million or more per year. Ron Johnson joins us. He does the Ron Johnson Show here on Locked On Sports Minnesota at 3Ron Johnson on Twitter/X. Ron, we're debating Danielle. What's your gut say about his return?
Ooh, well, I kind of agree with, I think Arif just said that, like, money talks, like feelings. People can spend money on their feelings. Like you can really slow down hate for people when you give them money. I mean, look at Kirk. He hated how Washington did him, but every year they say, hey, we'll give you $44 million to stick around this time. We'll give you $22 million. All right, sure. Like, people can say whatever they want, but then when that money shows up, they're willing to do it. The one thing about Danielle, though, I think it's going to come down to the defense. I think that's going to be the other key is, like, is Brian Flores still going to be here? I think there's going to be serious conversations with Flo, with Danielle's agent and Brian Flores as well. Like, are you coming back? Because in this 3-4 system, clearly, I mean, he's at 15.5 sacks. It works for him. But I know the question mark is always going to be, what could he have done in a true 4-3 defense? Does Flo's blitz rate help? Does it hurt? I think a lot of that comes in because everybody's like, man, Danielle could be a 23 sack a year guy or eventually get 23 sacks in 1 year if he was turned loose. I think that's going to always be the question mark.
Ron, it's kind of depressing talking about this defense a little bit when you just think about how much work needs to be done this offseason and how little core players they have on this roster on that side of the ball. Everybody wants to talk about a quarterback in round 1 for Kwesi and the Vikings, but if I told you they went defense in the draft and every player was ranked equally, which position do they need the most that will help Brian Flores kind of maximize his scheme and allow him to do the things that he wants to do?
Cornerback. They need a cornerback. They need, like, if you can't cover for at least 2 to 3 seconds even, and then when all hell breaks loose, if you don't have a guy that you can just say, hey, I'm going to go man on this side, and then we'll play some type of cover 4 to the other side. I mean, you need a corner. Like, we saw a lot of games where at the end of the game, it came down to a pass, and, you know, Byron Murphy may not have been in there. This corner wasn't doing this. Okay, it's time to put Andrew Booth in. I would definitely say you got to find a corner. Every Mike Zimmer defense that did well, and even when Mike Zimmer was in other defenses, you can go back to the Deion Sanders days. Xavier Rhodes, you can say whatever you want about him, but he was a solid core piece of that defense that helped Mike Zimmer become, you know, one of the top defenses in the NFL. So I think that's part of it. You got to find a corner.
Are you rooting for the Vikings to lose?
So I haven't honestly looked at, like, if they lose, what draft number would they be, and if they win, have you? What is that?
Well,
So
it
they're sitting
depends
at,
on
what,
whether or not they
12?
moonshot their way into the playoffs, right? It could be a difference between the 9th pick and the 20th pick, but more likely it's probably a difference between the 9th pick and like the 12th.
And so, right. So again, do I think they'll win a playoff game?
Right.
I don't really.
Right.
I mean, I don't know. Because at that point you're going against the best of the best, and people are playing for their lives. They're going to throw the kitchen sink at you.
Trip to Dallas? Kitchen
Yeah.
sink at Dak Prescott in the playoffs?
No, I'm saying they're going to throw the kitchen sink at Minnesota. Like, as far as the defense, like, they're going to come after Jared Hall.
Now you got to trust Prescott to win a playoff game. Huh? Can you do that?
Right.
True. I mean, but he found a way to beat he had some help from the refs, but he found a way to beat the Lions. So people can hate on Dak, but Dak can run. He's mobile too. So if you miss with this Vikings blitz rate, he can run and hurt you with his legs. So I just don't know where the Vikings would stand in the 7th seed. You know, probably playing Dallas. Maybe, I mean, again, because there's still a chance that I think Dallas can jump and the 49ers can go to 2, right?
49ers are locked in, but Philly
Okay.
and Dallas could flip-flop.
Yeah, Philly and Dallas can flip. So either way, Dallas or Philly, like, So if it's 9 or 12, I don't really care. If it's 9 or 20, yeah, that's a big deal. And so I'm not hoping for a loss. I actually want to see a good game. I want to see a win. The other reason too is the last game of the year for a lot of these guys that want to get re-signed, Najee Thompson, some of these, like this last game is going to matter to their film for the offseason. Like when I'm, Kwesi and Kevin O'Connell this offseason, I'm looking at these last 3 games. I'm going to break down Harrison Smith, Josh Metellus, and Cam Bynum. I'm going to break down Jordan Hicks and, where are we at the linebacker spot. I'm going to break down, this interior, Kyrus Tonga, and then you go to the DBs with, all of them. I think Byron Murphy, who knows where you go there, Caleb Evans, he'll be back, but, he's looking at everything.
So I've been wondering about, let's talk more about the draft because, that's basically the dominant topic of conversation. I don't know very many of the players. Let's talk like big picture. How would you feel about an all defense draft? They don't draft a receiver. They don't draft maybe a replacement guard for Dalton Risner. They re-sign him long-term, so they don't have a long-term guy there. But that defense, we know it can be great, right? But they just don't have the dogs, right? So is it an area where you'd be like, hey, we got to really just push here, right? We got to get as many guys on that side of the ball as possible.
Yeah, I personally would hate it. One, because
is that the receiver in you talking, or?
Yeah, a little bit, but
no
also
bias.
I work for Vikings.com, so with every pick we do a video, and that would be annoying. Like I don't want to sit up there and just break down defense.
Bunch of linebackers.
Yeah, because they send us like little highlight packages and little stuff of those guys. So when I'm watching that, I'm like, oh great, he filled the A gap. He's look how he mugs the A gap. He's such a great A gap mugger. Man, look how he defeats the double team. I love the way he uses both arms and he has long arms. And look at that spin move. No. I'm good, man. Look at the way he gets off the hash. That's a great safety there. Like, he gets off the hash.
Oh, look, he dropped to a landmark. How cute.
Right. Like, man, come on. So a little bit of it is the selfish offensive guy in me. But I truly believe they gotta find. Kellen Mond didn't work. But you know who did work? Brock Purdy. So like you gotta sometimes you just gotta Tom Brady. Like it's far and few between, but maybe, why can't it be us? Why can't we be the 49ers or the Patriots of the future and we find a diamond in the rough? Dak Prescott was a 4th rounder. Russell Wilson was a 3rd rounder. Like maybe, just maybe Kevin O'Connell can find a diamond in the rough because he does dedicate more time to quarterbacks. He does dedicate more time to watching them, as he said. Maybe he finds a diamond in the rough and it works out where it could be Bo Nix is old, but I get it. He looked good. You got JJ McCarthy. I just think you have to do that. And I don't know if KJ Osborne's coming back. So that's the other question is like, can you keep KJ Osborne long-term at the money you want to pay him? Or do you need to go find not wide receiver 1 or 2 in the draft, but again, can you find a Stephon Diggs in the 5th round that all of a sudden shows up? You're like, whoa, this kid is good. I think you have to do a little bit of offensive maintenance, even, because offensive line in the late rounds is tough to get them to come in and be great. But you can find some guys in there. And then again, look at Ivan Pace. Like he was an undrafted free agent. Maybe there's a 7th rounder out there like Ivan Pace that they can hit gold on again and again. I'm going to have to talk linebacker there, but I'm okay with that.
Hey, last one for you, Ron. The man who wears your beloved number 3, Jordan Addison, if he has a big game on Sunday, there is an outside chance that he could lead the team in receiving yards. He could have a 1,000-yard season and play all 17 games. So what grade would you give Jordan Addison on his rookie year?
A-. No questions asked. You look at the games he played when Justin Jefferson was out. I think that's more of an indicator. Like with Justin Jefferson, you can say whatever you want. Oh, you're not getting double. You're not getting this. Without Justin Jefferson. So with Justin Jefferson, you're not getting double. You're getting single man. You're not getting the best safety. You're not getting Jai Alexander. you're getting whoever, you're getting whoever else, Valentine. But without Justin Jefferson, he was dynamic. He was still a centerpiece of this offense. He showed he has the speed. I love how people say he's an NPC. I'm not a big-time video game player, but I did watch the movie with Ryan Reynolds when he was an NPC, but also then took over the movie. Jordan Addison, there's a bunch of videos and pictures out now saying proof that Jordan Addison is an NPC. Because he just like doing nothing.
It's so funny. Yeah, I've
on
seen
the
it.
sideline, he looks lost half the time. He doesn't ever say he's not the main character. So
It's
yeah, that's
hilarious.
what's going on.
I love that value in him, that he's kind of aloof and he's like, whatever, man. Like, let's just go about this. And
He's
so,
been
yeah,
so
I
good.
give him an A-, and the fact that he wasn't like a showboat, because his draft video, when he talked about like get this money and like you didn't know what you're gonna get out of him.
Yeah, and then he drove 140 miles an hour in a Lambo, and you're like, all right, well, yeah, he's a receiver, I
Well, he
guess.
cares about his dog. That's good.
right, he cares about his
I
dog
believe
that
that
we haven't
story.
seen.
Yeah.
But when you think about when you think about Jordan Addison, though, yeah, I give him an A-. Like he's and again, I go with Keenan McCardell. I talk to him every week, and he's like, man, this kid every week is getting better. Like, and so Keenan doesn't lie, because I got some stuff on other receivers where I'm like, oh, okay, I see why he's not playing. And so for him to say that about Jordan Addison, lie about it.
Good stuff, Ron. He will host the roundtable tomorrow with Reggie Wilson, Julia Daniels, myself. We'll have our FanDuel locks for Vikings-Lions coming up on Sunday. And you can catch Ron on the Vikings postcast with Luke Inman, Luke Braun after the game. Thanks a lot, Ron. Good stuff.
Appreciate it.
After this, we will have Nick Mullens bingo and our final parlays of the year coming up on the Minnesota Football Party. This episode brought to you by LinkedIn Jobs. The start of the new year, every small business owner is asking themselves the same question: what's the one move I can make that'll take my business to the next level in 2024? Well, LinkedIn Jobs knows that your success all depends on the team you surround yourself with. That's why LinkedIn Jobs has created the tools to help find the right professionals for your team faster and for free. Hiring can be tough. You've got stacks on stacks on stacks of resumes. Interviewing takes a long time. And if you interview the wrong people constantly over and over, that's a time suck. It takes forever. LinkedIn is not just another job board. There's a vast network of more than 1 billion professionals, and they will connect you with the right candidate. 86% of the time, you'll get a qualified candidate within 24 hours. Small businesses rate LinkedIn Jobs #1 in delivering quality hires versus leading competitors. And they know that small businesses are wearing a lot of hats, so they make it quick and easy. Post your job for free at linkedin.com/LockedOnNFL. LinkedIn.com/LockedOnNFL to post your job for free. Terms and conditions apply. Let's fire up the Nick Mullens bingo board. Nick Mullens is starting week 18. We love him. Chris Collinsworth loves him. I loved Collinsworth talking about how crazy he is. He's like, this guy's insane. That was a lot.
Impression.
It was not a good Collinsworth impression, but thanks for lying. So here we go. Help me fill in the spaces. Shout it out. So the free space, what do you think? Is that just like INT, wobbly pass?
Yeah, how about a wobbler?
I think we should just keep the free space as free, because all of these other ones are really fun to look out for, instead of just because INT doesn't work, because like one of the ones that I want is 4 turnovers. That should be one of the bingo things, right?
Yeah, 4 turnovers for sure.
Yeah, and so if INT or if turnover worthy play is the free space, I mean it's kind of boring. You've also got 4 turnovers on the board. Also,
I think we need to be more specific about the INTs too. If we just say interception, like that's no fun.
Yeah, there's got to be one where it like produce a circus-like interception or turnover, like getting sacked and I throw it to a 300-pound
So I do have tries
tackle.
to throw out of a sack, I think is.
I was going to say turnover trying to throw out of a sack.
Okay, I mean that is funnier.
Yeah.
How about turnover worthy play trying to throw out of a sack, right? Because if the
and we need like PFF to count it.
Yeah.
Okay.
I feel like, but then we have to wait till the next day. I think we just do straight turnover. it's got to be more objective. You know what I mean?
No, it
All
doesn't.
right.
It's bingo. What is Vegas grading these cards, dude? Just put a turnover worthy play. If a defensive lineman drops a pass that Nick Mullens throws directly into his stomach, that absolutely is funny enough to be on the bingo card.
Turnover worthy play out of sack. I'm not going to argue with a Reef over here. That it's fine. It's fine. It'll be fine.
It's fine.
Okay. I think wobbly duck pass, like dying
a duck.
quail.
Just
Sure.
guys, yeah.
Yeah.
Dying whale. I don't know if I've ever heard that one to describe.
Quail.
We
Quail.
need a
Quail. Oh, I was like, is this like a Hitchhiker's Guide reference or something?
Oh,
That's great.
wow. Great movie.
I
Great
think we
movie.
can get 2 different squares out of a 3rd and 15 plus conversion and a 4th and 15 plus conversion.
There you go.
Oh, I like that.
I like
yeah,
that.
having that as
That's good.
Make a corner square the 4th and 15 one. Make it more valuable.
Yeah.
How
There you
about
go.
the broadcast showing his wife on TV?
Ooh, there you go.
Is his wife notable?
Well, the
In the
Cincy
Bengals
game,
game.
she got more airtime than
She gonna
half the
be there?
roster.
Why wouldn't she be there?
Yeah.
Is she like from Cincinnati or
Hey,
is,
it's just
is
one
she going to
square.
fly to Michigan for this?
I mean, the wives go out to games all the time,
All
Yeah.
right.
Come on, Luke.
Or- especially when you
How-
only start like once every few years.
So
Fair
Justin Jefferson has like a career catch rate of 65%, but his catch rate in like games with Vikings backups is closer to like 50%. So I would like Justin Jefferson catch rate below 55%.
We'll put it on there. That's pretty highly specific, but we'll go with it. How about a Hail Mary on 1st and goal? Because he's done that in his last 2 starts.
What?
I like how we've included wobbly duck pass and Hail Mary on 1st and goal, 2 extraordinarily subjective measures, and then we were arguing about whether or not turnover worthy play on a sack. Come on, guys.
Yeah. Do we have like a YOLO throw? Just a YOLO ball? Just
Okay,
like
I'll
that
change it from
Addison touchdown?
Hail Mary, YOLO. That's what I'm talking about. Like he
Okay.
had the
Okay.
one to
Okay.
I just
Addison
want to
It's much
confirm.
more
I want to
on
confirm.
1st and goal, and then the almost intercepted one against Detroit.
Mhm.
How about
Uh,
positive EPA despite looking awful? You know, Nick Mullens ranks 10th in EPA per play this year, right?
That feels like a given.
Yeah.
That feels, if anything's even free space.
Because he had like a 65th percentile EPA in the 4 turnover game. It's crazy.
Wow.
That game will live rent free in my brain forever.
Yeah, it's so stupid. It's so
Like
stupid.
that did permanent damage to my psyche. And I'm pretty sure I got sick at it. So
Awesome. Hey, it's just like I got sick at the Denver game.
oh, great season. What about a
Perfect.
benching?
Ooh.
benched.
I love
that
that.
Yeah.
How
Love
about
that.
a Favre-like, a Southern Miss-like throwing across his body?
That one seems a little a given.
We got like 12 more squares here.
Yeah, we
can circle back, but on that train of thought, what about a Favre reference on the broadcast, just like last week?
Okay, that's good. That's good.
Yeah.
Okay,
Like it
well,
made
yeah.
more sense when they were playing the Packers, but still, I think we might get one.
Let's see who the analyst is. I know Joe Davis is the play-by-play, but let's check on
Of course, you know that.
because this is important.
That's the most Sam Ekstrom thing to know.
Joe Davis,
On brand.
Daryl Johnston, and Pam Oliver. Daryl Johnston likes the fullbacks,
He does.
but he's old school. He would definitely drop a Favre in there.
Yeah, no, for sure. So
How about
does that mean? Well, okay, so we saw that Johnny Munt is just not capable of taking on the TJ Hawkinson role, something that clearly no one could have predicted going into the game. I think we'll see a lot more CJ Ham. How about CJ Ham 20 snaps? Or is this has to be Nick Mullens bingo?
Yeah, I mean it's not. It's
How
kind of
about-
adjacent, you know.
how
That's
about
not really
CJ Ham
involved.
jump ball?
I
Um,
love that.
Okay, CJ Ham jump ball and then hospital ball, just to anybody.
Hospital ball. Yeah, just
Yeah,
generally a
Ball.
hospital
Yeah.
ball.
How about him spread out wide in a wildcat?
Oh,
Yeah,
Mullens
beautiful.
Basically, just
receiver?
is there a wildcat play?
Yeah,
Yeah.
or even maybe as a separate square, Nick Mullens reception.
Sure. There
Oh
you
yeah,
go.
because he could have the ball batted back to him. It's a strong history.
Or
of Vikings
or weird
the
trick
wildcat.
plays.
Yeah. or
O'Connell
trick play.
might empty the clip here, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nothing
Yeah.
left.
Don't leave it. Yeah. Don't carry it over to next season. What
Hey,
about
flea flicker?
That's not a reception.
No. I'm saying
You're
as a
as a
separate square.
yeah.
how about over half a rushing yard?
I was gonna say tries to rush for first down but isn't fast enough.
On third or fourth down.
Yeah, on third or fourth down. Failed third or fourth down scramble.
Failed scramble on third, fourth.
And
All right.
I it's too specific, but I do envision this on like 3rd and 21.
Yeah, in my mind's eye. Yeah.
Yeah, like it's not a 3rd and 3 that it's like 3rd and like 16, and he tries to run for it. And
To
it's just
scramble
not
on
close.
3rd and 3, and then just not having the speed to get 3 yards is also like funny.
Also
Also
funny,
hilarious.
yeah. Also acceptable. How about turnover on behind line of scrimmage pass?
Oh,
Yes.
I
Like
see
a
what you
like
mean.
a botched screen or something like that.
Yeah. Oh, Nick Mullens tackle.
Oh, love that.
Nice.
Love that. Might have to just fill it in with some generic ones like over 60.
Yeah, like a touchdown or a
completion percentage.
Strip sack.
Strip sack.
Touchdown on a drive that should have ended in a turnover.
Very good.
That's
Or
good.
like how about
That's
a TD pass? Extremely dangerous TD pass.
That sucks.
I thought we already had that, like a YOLO team.
Yeah.
we have
okay,
we have a
regardless.
yellow throw on 1st and goal.
That's fine. Yeah, regardless. How about a opening touchdown drive right there?
How about just a
Wait,
positive
so
threshold?
we're
like
not
400 yards.
including the touchdown on a drive that should have ended in a turnover.
Where was
Did that not get in there?
I don't think you.
Yeah,
put
that
it
should
in.
go in there.
Okay, we'll say that again.
Touchdown on a drive that should have ended in a turnover.
Okay.
How about impossibly competent 2-minute drive?
Oh, I like that.
Incompetent.
No, impossibly competent.
Impossibly competent, right?
God,
Like just suddenly looks like Aaron Rodgers out there. Just like who is this guy?
Yeah.
how about Vikings passing record?
Oh, that's 100% on the table. Okay, yeah.
Yeah, sure.
Let's go.
That's it. We filled it in.
Great.
Brilliant. Nick Mullens,
538
bingo.
yards would
Okay,
be the answer
Sam,
there.
I suggest that when you tweet this out, the background is not red. This is so hard to read.
It looks awful.
This
I
is
just wanted to
incredible Google
outline the board so that
Not
we knew
not
how
even
many
like
squares.
wrap alignment, just extending every column.
I don't. Not,
Don't worry about it.
spreadsheets, not my
Don't worry about
forte. Not my
Don't worry
forte,
about
man. All right. Final parlays of the year. Luke Braun is just woefully behind, but he's not dead. You can't kill him because he can still bet the max. He is minus $7,215. He needs to pass Luke Inman, who is a positive 484. So you've got to make up a $7,700 deficit.
So you just gotta make it. So that's just like a 6 multiplier, right? Just like a plus 600 on.
I've got a
Matt's
plus
better.
746 here that has gone up as we've been recording. So
Perfect.
Well, Luke gets the first bet. So Inman does. I'm sorry, Luke Inman.
Give me the Patriots minus 1.5.
All right. And I'll clear this up too, because last week Braun's bet was a little exotic. And we let it slide, but we do need to have a traditional spread or over under as one of the two picks.
it can't be an alternate.
That I think an alternate line is fine as a replacement for.
Yeah. Like
Is the
I'm not-
alternate line longer odds?
Yeah, of course.
Okay.
Yeah. Why else?
The point of it was to ensure people didn't take layups for
for
their picks.
Yeah.
Okay, if it's longer odds,
Luke taking exactly 1 to 6 points as a winning margin is like very. Plus, I mean, he needs it, right? Like he needs to get to plus 600, plus 700. So he's not going to take a layup somewhere in the middle of there.
Yeah, no, I've got a plus 200 and a plus 182 here, and they are both. It's a total and a spread, but they're alternates to be higher odds.
Okay, sounds fun. Arif is next.
Well, I didn't prep any player props yet, so I'll start with my spread. Browns are resting Joe Flacco, so I'm going to take Bengals -7.
Luke Braun.
I will take Vikings at Lions over 51.5, which gives me plus 200.
Over 51.5. I am going to go Bears +3. Because I just think the scenario is going to play out where the Packers blow it again. Bears +3. Then it's me again for fun. CJ Ham touchdown. Anytime.
Let's
go. Let's go.
That's plus 2,900 on that. I got to punch it in. But Luke Braun, you can do your next one.
Next one would be Philadelphia Eagles -9.5 against the New York Giants. That's an alternate spread. That puts me at plus 746. Max bet to win $13,428.
That's a healthy amount. I love it. Arif.
So they have like a special for Jahmyr Gibbs, 85 plus rushing yards, so that he could reach 1,000 on the season.
Yeah, I saw that.
180 to win $1,085.
So I'm coming back and going with Justin Fields anytime touchdown. So my parlay is plus 444. What I'm going to have to do, though, and maybe I'll have to do this off here, is I'm going to have to figure out what Braun, if he hits, what he goes up to. Is he going to surpass all of us?
He'll pass all of us.
I would pass everybody.
So you're going from worst to first. So
that's the idea.
I was going to say, otherwise I would strategically have to be like, all right, well, even if I won, but I didn't bet enough, though, now I'm still in that kind of thing. So
if I lose it by like a half a point, I'll be mad. But
playoffs?
Wow.
So Inman, if you get it right, you would comfortably pass Arif.
Even if he wins?
If he wins, no, you would not.
Right.
I don't think
that's what
if
I'm
he
saying.
wins, it's
That's what I'm
if you're trying to build something that surpasses me if I win, you need probably like a plus 1,000, don't you?
Or I could just go huge. I mean, what's your bet?
bet more.
Yeah, because I have a $7,000 window here that I could lose. You know what I'm saying?
So
before
Arif could win 1,000, which puts him at
20,
around
call it 21.
Around 21. Yep.
So I need something to hit
to win 17.
17. Okay, so I will do.
Dude, I have no idea how the contestants.
I will do 3. I'll just do 400. Give me 400. 400 to win 1776. Great year. Great
patriotic
year.
number.
Great year.
Yeah. That's a good gamesmanship by Inman here. Smart. This is a guy you don't want to play in Final Jeopardy, folks. He knows how to make his bet.
I made that joke twice, Sam. What the hell?
You think I'm listening?
Oh, man.
Minnesota football party on the Locked On Sports Minnesota Network. He's Luke Inman. Find him on the Postcasts, the
Luke
Postcaster
Spielman.
General. Not a fun one last night after the Wolves game, but catch
Not
him
great.
and Jack Borman after each game. Arif Hassan, wide left Substack. Luke Braun contributes to that Substack and hosts Locked On Vikings and Locked On NFL occasionally. Loved your episode on Tuesday. And I'm Sam Ekstrom. Catch me all over this Locked On Sports Minnesota podcast channel. Thanks a lot for watching. Thanks a lot for listening. Talk to you on the Postcast after the game on Sunday.